My wife secretly spent the night at her ex's place. She swears nothing happened, but I feel betrayed. Am I overreacting? Out of the bed, you're not overreacting. Keeping in touch with exes is not healthy. They are in the past for a reason. Maybe it's a hot take, but this is my opinion. I'm 27 male in a real fight with my wife, 29 female. I'm at a loss here and need an outside perspective. For context, we've been together for about 5 years, married for 2. She is my partner in every sense of the word. She has a child, 8 female, and we created our own little family. I'm not the bio dad, but I love her like my own. As you should. If you decided to date someone who already has a child, this is the only acceptable attitude. My wife and I usually can communicate through issues, except for her ex, 29 male. He is our constant fight. I respect him as the father, but we never had an easy dynamic. He ignores boundaries and treats fatherhood like a game. Child support? He hasn't heard of it. So then why is he even in the picture if he doesn't care about his child? My wife and her ex were high school sweetheart. Co-parenting isn't my issue. It's the fact that he still acts like he has some claim on my wife. And there it is. This is the reason why it's so unhealthy to keep in touch with your ex. Of course, if there is a child in the picture, that makes everything 100 times more complicated. Our family was set to spend Labor Day weekend with my parents for this special anniversary occasion. These plans were solidified months in advance. Last minute, my wife's ex begged to have her daughter for Labor Day. Why do I feel like this had nothing to do to spend time with his daughter? He just wanted to ruin your plans. She ended up agreeing and backing out of our plans so she could attend with the daughter. And this is where the real issue is. She's your wife, so why is she not on your side? I didn't like it, but there wasn't anything I could do. I didn't have much say. My wife invited me, but I chose to keep my engagement with my parents. I wasn't a rain check scenario. As you should. I don't understand why is your wife not on your side. Hello, she has a new family. She's married to you. You guys supposed to be a team. It was difficult to reach my wife the whole weekend. Red flag. She was dodgy and left me a red a lot. Another red flag. I returned to an empty home. I called my wife and I overheard her ex in the background with their daughter. Turns out my wife spent the night at his place. She said it wasn't planned. It still happened though. I cannot imagine one good reason why she would spend the night there. The daughter? Maybe. Her? Absolutely not. That she was too tired to drive after the celebration and her ex offered her to stay the night. Okay, sure. Then why didn't she just left and went home after the celebration? Not gonna lie, I was upset. She asked to discuss it later. She didn't think it was best to discuss it in front of the daughter. She pretty much hung up on me. When we did talk again, we had a bad fight. I felt every boundary we established was broken. Her ex never respected our relationship. And after this, he's gonna respect it even less. Because he knows basically he can do whatever he wants. They have a child together, yes, but that doesn't warrant her spending the night with him. I hope she's gonna apologize and not gonna try to gaslight you because you're 100% right. I'm sick of her ex pushing boundaries. My wife swears nothing happened. Even if they weren't physical with each other, she still disrespected you. So I wouldn't say nothing happened. They hang out with their daughter all night and then he offered his bed while he took the couch. I don't care. Not good enough. She should have left. I told her he set the scene for something to happen and for all I know, she shared the bed with him. I asked how she'd feel if I spent the night with an ex. She admitted she wouldn't like it, but doesn't believe it's a fair comparison. She feels the circumstances are different. She said she loves me and respects our marriage and I should trust her not to cross a line. Okay, but she already crossed the line. What do you mean? She knew that this gonna hurt you and she decided to do it anyway. That's a line crossed in my book. I told her it has nothing to do with trust and everything to do with her constant enabling of her ex. She doesn't choose me in the same way she keeps choosing him. She didn't care for the comparison. She said nothing happened, she was done talking about it, and then left the room. That's what she always does. She doesn't like something said and then storms out, declaring she's not talking about it anymore. And that's not how adults behave. We are left at an impasse. I feel her ex doesn't respect our relationship and oversteps boundaries. My wife feels I'm too biased to see anything clearly past her ex. I'm not biased, and yet I feel like she's disrespecting you all the time. Why does she even defending her ex? Why is she not with him then? This is the most at odds we've ever been in our relationship. Communication isn't prevailing. I'm in love with my wife. I love her daughter. I don't take for granted the life we have built, but I'm struggling to trust my wife now. Am I overreacting? You are not overreacting at all. Something needs to change fast. At this point, I think the best what you could do to offer her couples therapy because she won't listen to you. Maybe if she would hear from an outside perspective, she would realize how badly she treats you. But we're gonna see what the commenters think. Not overreacting. It's totally disrespectful of her, and not communicating during that weekend is a huge red flag. I wouldn't be so sure nothing happened, especially since she's laying blame on you and refusing to talk it out. They totally been physical. He is not crossing boundaries. She is. Don't blame him for her actions. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Only she is in control of her actions. It's up to you, but personally, I'd file for divorce. Sleeping over like that would be the absolute final straw for me. Yeah, painful as it is sound, how you are supposed to be married to her if you are fighting against each other all the time. If I were you, I would probably file for divorce as well. You are literally always going to be second place to this guy and your wife is fine with it. You should just get out of the way because you're third wheeling their relationship pretty hard. Harsh, but true. You are my darling, not overreacting, for sure. Next story. My husband started taking evening runs with a woman he met at our kids' daycare. I think this crosses boundaries. Am I overreacting? Ew, no. If this makes you uncomfortable, he shouldn't do it. My 28 female, husband 30 male, and I have been together for 6 years, married for 4. I've been hurt by cheating in past relationships, so I'm probably more sensitive to situations that feel questionable. My husband decided to get serious about fitness this year and started running every evening around our neighborhood. He's really dedicated to it, goes out every single day around 7 p.m. after dinner. I prefer morning yoga classes, so this has become his routine. Over the past few months, he mentioned running into other people from the neighborhood and striking up conversations. There's one woman in particular, recently divorced, maybe 5 years younger, who he started running with regularly. Apparently, they met when both were picking up kids from the same daycare and realized they live nearby and have similar running paces. Interesting. Then why don't you know this woman? Last Tuesday, he came home later than usual from his run and mentioned he stopped for smoothies with a friend at that juice bar on Main Street. When I asked which friend, he seemed to hesitate before admitting it was the divorced mom from his running group. He insisted it was totally innocent, just two parents grabbing post-workout drinks and talking about training for the upcoming 5K. He swore nothing weird happened and that I know he's not like that. Okay, but if this makes you uncomfortable, he still shouldn't do it. If you're married, you are not just starting to make new single friends, especially from the opposite sex. Our marriage has been really good overall, even when we had stressful periods with work and parenting a toddler. My husband has never given me real reasons not to trust him in 6 years. But this whole situation makes me uncomfortable. A recently divorced woman, daily evening runs together, stopping for drinks afterwards, the hesitation when I asked about it. What does everyone think? Am I being paranoid, or should I be concerned about these boundaries? Well, if it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you uncomfortable, so he shouldn't do it. This new little friendship surely not more important than how you feeling, right? So just sit down with him and explain your side. I would assume he knows that you've been cheated on in previous relationships. Just sit down with him and explain your feelings. Setting aside making friends at the gym, I would have a fundamentally bigger issue with the fact that he's out of the house every single night. When does he have time to clean? Does he ever help with bedtime? Or play with the kids? Is he dealing with all morning stuff while you do yoga? Excellent points. He going to get smoothies with his guy friends? Him saying a friend and not, oh, I went with her name, is dodgy no matter what the other poly/open relationship people on this site tell you. Yeah, I really don't like he's going out every night with this woman for runs and then taking little smoothie breaks afterwards. I think a lot of people would be uncomfortable with this scenario. She's younger, newly divorced, and probably looking for attention. I would ask him to stop. How would he feel if the shoe were on the other foot and you were out with a younger, newly divorced man? Good question. You should ask him. You are definitely not overreacting. Be open and tell him how this situation makes you feel. That would help you to figure out what to do next afterwards. Am I overreacting? My husband deleted all his social media apps right before his surgery. My husband was scheduled for a medical procedure at the hospital due to some recurring health issues. He's still young but has been dealing with chronic kidney problems that needed more intensive treatment. A few days ago, his symptoms flared up badly, severe back pain and swelling. I convinced him he needed to go to the ER, so at 2 a.m. we were admitted. The doctors decided he needed a procedure under general anesthesia to place a temporary stent. Before they took him back, he had to give me his phone and other belongings to hold during the surgery. While he was in the operating room, his phone kept getting notifications. When I went to check if any were from the doctors or important family updates, I realized he had deleted Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. All apps that were definitely there just yesterday when we were showing each other funny videos while waiting in the ER. That's definitely very weird, especially if all the apps were around just yesterday. This seemed really strange because he always been pretty active on social media, especially Instagram, where he posts gym updates and connects with old friends. We've never been secretive about our phones or social media accounts. Yes, because that's usually a red flag. I'm probably just stressed and overthinking because I'm terrified about his health, but the timing feels weird. Why would someone delete their social media right before going under anesthesia? We did have some issues in the past before we were married. He had been messaging an ex-girlfriend inappropriately. Maybe I'm just exhausted and paranoid from sitting in the hospital all night worrying about him. We have 2 small kids at home and there's so much going on right now. I love him so much and I'm genuinely scared about what could happen during this procedure. Am I reading too much into this or should I ask him about it once he recovered? Please be kind, I'm just a mess of worry and sleeplessness right now. Thanks in advance. I think you should definitely ask him after he recovered, especially if it worries you so much. I agree that the timing is very weird and you guys had issues in the past when he was messaging an ex inappropriately. So communicate, that's never a bad thing to do. He's hiding either the people he's messaging and/or the content he's watching from you. They may not be fully deleted, he may have hidden them under a different name and icon. Either way, this is incredibly suspicious behavior. This is odd. Anytime I've done something even remotely iffy, surgery, skydiving, I start giving my sister and friends my passwords and save combinations, etc. I most certainly don't get more private. Yeah, that's actually weird behavior. If you know his password, he might be scared you snoop by his out, and you would probably find something you wouldn't like there. I believe it's worth mentioning and simply see how he reacts. Maybe push more if he's acting weird when you bring it up. That's the best what you could do right now. Wait until he feels better and then ask him. But you're definitely not overreacting. Am I overreacting for refusing to let my husband's sister take the daughter I've raised? I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 43 male, for 12 years. We have an 11-year-old son together and a 12-year-old daughter I've raised since she was a baby. When we first started dating, he told me he had a daughter from a previous relationship but didn't give me many details. The timing made me feel awful. She'd been born not long after we got together. I assumed I was the other woman and felt guilty for years, like I somehow destroyed the family. He never corrected me and I just carried that weight. Because of the guilt, I threw myself into being the best stepmom I could. I was only 24 and scared, but over time she became my daughter. I've handled everything: school, doctor appointments, birthdays, late nights, when she's sick. She calls me mom. That's because you're her mom. My husband has always been closer to our son, but I treated both kids the same. I just can't shake the feeling that I'm being punished for loving her. A few months ago, his younger sister, 26 female, came back into our life after years away. At first, I thought she was just being extra nice, but then I noticed little things, weird comments, tense moments, and the way she acted around my daughter. Something didn't sit right. I finally confronted my husband, and he told me the truth. His sister is actually my daughter's biological mother. Excuse me, what? She had her at 14, and he raised the baby as his own. He let me believe I was the other woman because he thought it would be easier than telling me the truth. So your whole relationship was built on a lie. Okay. I feel completely betrayed. I spent over a decade feeling guilty for something that wasn't real. I don't understand your husband's logic. Why was that a better story to make you feel like you were the other woman than explaining to you that his little sister had a baby and he wants to raise her? Now his sister is engaged and says she wants her daughter back. My husband's reactions? He's just shrugged and said, maybe it's for the best. My daughter doesn't know the full truth yet, but she's already senses something is wrong. She overheard us arguing and had a meltdown, asking over and over, "You are my mom, right?" I told her yes, I am her mom, but inside I was shattered. Wait, so she doesn't know that you're not her biological mom? Because she's gonna need an explanation very soon. I love her exactly as I love my son, right? Because she's your daughter. The fact that you're not blood related, that doesn't change on anything. I raised her, fought for her, and loved her every single day. I just can't see myself stepping aside and letting her go. Am I overreacting for feeling like I can't just let this happen? I don't know what's right anymore, and I feel like I'm losing everything I worked for. You're definitely not overreacting. She's your daughter. But I would need some more info about the circumstances. Does she know that you're not her bio mom? Because before anything else happens, she has to know that. You need a lawyer. You cannot just raise a kid for 12 years and then just take them. I'm so sorry she had a baby at 14, but the damage that will done to your daughter, and your husband is an a-hole. He lied to you and didn't prepare you for this to happen. Not overreacting. I think you need to move quickly. Not overreacting. She is your daughter now and will not want to lose you. She considers you her real mom and shouldn't be uprooted because of someone else's lies. Your husband is not a good person, and honestly, your sister-in-law isn't either. I couldn't imagine taking a 12-year-old away from the only mother she'd ever known. It's not healthy for the kid. You don't get to abandon your baby, then come back and try to take them after they've been raised. This is a very difficult situation, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. But I think most of the commenters are right. You need a lawyer. I don't want to say anything about what your rights are because I don't have any knowledge of that. But I'm hoping at the end of this, you will be able to keep your family together. I'm wishing you all the best. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe and see you in the next one.